So, Rachel, you want to describe the meme you sent, the custom-made meme you sent to me after this weekend?
So, Star Wars Celebration started Friday, I believe, correct? Or was it Thursday?
It's probably Thursday.
I think it was Thursday, which was so painful because right after the day we recorded, and so I was blowing up Cameron's phone. So apologies, but I'm not really that sorry about it. Blowing up Cameron's phone about this. And so I was like, Cameron, oh my gosh, I don't know how I can wait. And so I custom edited this it's very badly edited, but I love it. Misa proposed that Rebels and Robots host emergency podcast session to discuss Star Wars Celebration 2023. And you know what I got? I got a laugh react.
It's Thursday night, and we are in Rachel's apartment, and that must mean that it is Starformers night. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And this is...
I'm excited.
Rebels and Robots, episode 14, where we talk about Star Wars and...
Transformers.
We'll see if any Transformers shows up this
I actually
week.
have some Transformers news.
Hey!
And I'm going to say it first before... because, there's just not a whole lot that happened too much this week, news-wise. So we got to have a little something. So... a little bit of a tangent. So it'll relate back to Transformers first. So the Super Mario Bros. Movie came out last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Well, first of all, it is now the top grossing animated film of all time, which is insane.
Well, not like top grossing, like biggest weekend.
Biggest weekend, but it beat out Frozen and Frozen 2, which is crazy.
Like it will still need some more weeks. I mean, I would not be surprised if it became the highest grossing of all time, but it's not been out long enough.
But it set the record for the biggest 5-day Wednesday to Sunday opening of all time with its $204.6 million debut, overtaking 2009's Transformers Revenge of the Fallen at $200 million.
That's kind of crazy.
I know.
Retroactively think back to 2009, the fact that Transformers 2 made that much movie. Man, I am awful with words today. Transformers 2 made that much money back in 2009. And the fact that record has not been broken since. That's pretty wild.
I know.
For a movie that is the worst and so awful bad. And a crime against humanity.
So bad. Do you have any other news before we get to the meat?
No, because, there's a whole chunk of news that came out of Star Wars Celebration this week.
Yeah, Star Wars Celebration UK London. So I have all my notes, so please feel free to interject.
Yeah, if you got notes, go for it.
I kind of have it organized. So, first of all, 3 new Star Wars movies were announced.
Correct. Yeah, that was what I was going to lead with.
Director James Mangold is going to direct a movie set at the Dawn of the Jedi era.
I'm going to put a huge asterisk at the beginning of this. The chances of any of these anything that's been announced that's a movie actually happening is so slim.
I feel like this one is slim. The other two, I think they have a good chance.
I just want to give context. Anyone listening to this that hasn't followed Star Wars news, just going off my vague memory, I didn't do any research to confirm this, but vaguely, the last time they announced a Star Wars movie that actually got released would have been like 2016 with Solo. Like Solo would have been the last one announced and actually came out. And that movie came out in 2018. Mm-hmm. There have been many Star Wars movies announced since then, but nothing has come out.
Yes.
And they haven't even it's not even like COVID production shut it down or something. When episode 9 came out in 2019, there was nothing like that was about to get made. It's possible that COVID pushed some stuff back, but honestly, I don't know how different things would be right now if COVID hadn't happened. I think we'd still be in the same boat as far as Star Wars movies are concerned. So big asterisks on all these announcements. These are 3 new announced films, and nothing they have announced in the last... It's 2013. I would say last 6 years of announcements, nothing has come from it.
Yes, but So that's the one that I'm a little more like, I don't really see that one happening. The other ones, I think, have a much higher chance of happening.
Sure.
So David, our boy.
So let's stop for a second. Let's discuss what you just talked about. Okay. So James Mangold, probably most famous to most people in the nerd sphere for directing The Wolverine and Logan. But he also directed such excellent films as the 310 Yuma remake and Ford versus Ferrari.
I never saw that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of he doesn't have a really, really distinctive style.
Oh, yeah.
He just has an all-around good handle of how to just make a blockbuster film.
I mean, I've heard all good things about his films. I've just never seen
and they're not like too big normally. Like they're normally like a really good like medium size. And I like him a lot. I think he's a really excellent filmmaker. And the biggest connection from who he is to why he's directing Star Wars is that he has directed the new Indiana Jones. Is his connection to Lucasfilm.
And so if it comes out, it's going to movie set at the dawn of the Jedi Empire. So before Old Republic.
25,000 years before the movies.
From what I've seen, hypothetically, the first Force user.
Yeah.
So that is a big old chunk of time.
Because the first I heard about this was someone I work with.
You're going to name him Skywalker.
Oh, I really hope not. Oh my gosh, that'd be awful. The first thing I heard about this was someone I work with mentioned to me, and I thought he said 2,500 years. I was like, that's High Republic era, I think. Like, it's definitely not older. It's newer than Old Republic, but I don't know exactly when High Republic is. But that number didn't, with the timeline of Star Wars events, 2,500 years is actually not that old with the history of things. So when he told me it was about the dawn of the Force, my coworker was like, 2,500 years? That's not enough. That doesn't make any sense. So when I read it was 25,000 years, I was like,
coworker left out a very important zero there.
Yeah, and then another podcast I was listening to, I haven't confirmed this.
Can't believe you listen to other podcasts. This
yes,
I listen to you.
I listen to 2 podcasts pretty much on the regular.
And this one?
Yes, and my own. That's correct. Yes, that's 3. Mentioned that like really early lightsabers were like powered by like a backpack or something. Yep. Like they were like really
janky.
Janky's the word for it. Yeah, cumbersome and macro technology. So I'm kind of interested to see really old Star Wars tech. I suspect I'd be really interested to see like how many planets this take up. Like does interstellar travel even exist? 25 years? That's the term for traveling between different star systems.
Yeah, it's a movie term.
Look, this is the second week in a row that I have to explain to you that something is a scientific term before it was used in fiction.
No, I don't think so. Interstellar, Interstellar actually invented the concept of space travel.
Yeah.
It's actually a product of the past.
Sure. So that's what I'm excited about is old tech. If they travel, the old man tech from Bad Batch is in it. He's dead. But he's like somehow predates. Oh, he's traveled.
Somehow
time travel.
Tech returns.
That's what they did. That now that what I think about it, because I thought I had a second ago when
they announced his return in a Fortnite package.
What you mentioning them naming the main character Skywalker or something made me think about is inevitably there will be some. They'll probably try to fit something in there that's familiar.
They're gonna call someone or something Skywalkers, like the verb term of it,
or like they have maybe some of Yoda's ancestors or some Wookiees. They'll be
like his great grandma.
Yeah, they're most likely gonna put something in there that we are already familiar with.
Another Death Star.
Oh my gosh! But what? Talking about tech and how he would be in it just made me think about in the TV show Krypton, which is about Superman's grandparents.
Thank you.
They had some characters time travel back in time so they could have some familiar characters on Krypton 2 generations before Superman. Oh. And if they went a real hacky job with this, that's what they would do is they would have like Cal Kestis or someone travel back in time.
The same energy as perhaps having the main characters shrink down to miniature size so they could fight the midichlorians.
Yes, which is what George Lucas wanted to do for his sequel trilogy. Anyway,
so the other movie that is for a hopeful 2026 release year, Dave Filoni will be directing it.
Yes,
And
this is the
it's-
one that's really likely to happen, I think.
And it's the penultimate. It's supposed to be the penultimate for the Mandalorian storyline set between 6 and 7.
Season 6 and 7 of
Movies.
Oh, I see.
Return of the Jedi
So,
and The
where-
Force Awakens.
Pretty much, there are two kinds of Star Wars primarily right now, between 3 and 4 and between 6 and 7. Now, 6 and 7 is a pretty wide
There's a
amount
lot
of
of
time,
years
but-
between those.
and we
That's
don't
like
know much about
30
that time
years.
period. But
Except the Mandalorians are running around for now.
so effectively, what it sounds like is it's a movie that's meant to be like the Avengers of the TV shows.
Yeah.
Is like just connect everything that's
It's
happening
gonna
together.
Pull up that line. So, I mean, I'm excited that this is like a movie that he's going to have, you know, I feel like it'll happen with the, or who knows, maybe they write the movie and then they split it into a season like they kind of did with Kenobi. But
Interesting.
I'm excited. Now, the one that I think is actually closest to happening, the next one that was released, is directed by Charmin, I hope I pronounced it right, Obaid Chinoy,
That sounds
doing
right.
a film with Daisy Ridley. She's been confirmed to come
yeah.
back. It's set 15 years after the rise of Skywalker as she builds a new Jedi Order. The script is being written by Stephen Knight, and Kathleen Kennedy said it should be completed in about the next 6 weeks.
The script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're hoping for a 2025 release, which...
Yeah, so this woman was one who directed Miss Marvel. That's her connection to to Marvel or Disney and all that.
I like Miss Marvel.
And yeah, this almost sounds like one of two things, or both. What Episode 9 should have been, and all kind to some extent, and also probably what a lot of people would have liked, like Episode 7 to have been.
Yeah. Except
for instead of Rey would have been Luke. But I think that's what a lot of people wanted to see was the training of a new Jedi Order. This is exciting for me, for sure. It bums me out a little bit because what I felt like Episode 7 and 8 were kind of directing towards moving away from Jedi. And not necessarily Force users, but a new kind of Force user. And maybe they would have kept using the name Jedi. And maybe that's what Rey will do. Maybe Rey's Jedi will be different. But Episode 9 kind of made everything much more the term I'm looking for is like status quo.
Yeah.
I feel like Episode 9 brought everything back to kind of where things were at the end of Episode 6.
Yeah.
As opposed to like establishing a very new status quo. It's got like there's one Jedi left. That Jedi's going to train some new Jedis. They're going to rebuild the New Republic.
They're going to Jedi.
I also thought the other day is after Episode 9 is going to be the new Republic.
The new Squared Republic.
The newest Republic.
The newest Republic.
But what do you think of this?
I'm excited that Daisy Ridley is coming back.
Absolutely. I'm shocked. I can't believe it.
I am thrilled to see her back. She was at Star Wars Celebration. I think one of the great things about Star Wars Celebration is all of these actors who have been scorned and coming into rooms that roar when they show up on stage. Like Hayden Christensen experienced this when they pulled him for Star Wars Celebration a couple years ago. And you see him come up on the stage and everyone explodes. And he's like, oh, shoot, people liked these movies?
Yeah. Now, there is a joke on one of my other favorite podcasts where they talk about how people woo at conventions. The kind of people that are at conventions are just going to woo at anything. So, not that Daisy really doesn't deserve it, not saying that, but they are
You haven't
prone
seen
to
the
just...
conspiracy theory that everyone at Star Wars Celebration was paid to go there by Disney?
Gosh,
anyways, we'll move on from
what?
that, but I've been seeing some of that. Anyways, I'm excited that she's coming back. She's the only one confirmed that's coming back. I could see Oscar Isaac probably coming back. I would love to see John Boyega come back. However, I totally understand why he wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
But I like, obviously, like, it's not up to me. I would love to see him back.
Yeah, you know, that as soon as I heard no, what was it? I saw someone did some of their own fan art of what he would look like as a Jedi.
I love every single one of them.
It looks really good. He had this nice like not shawl, but like a cape over his shoulder.
I think I know exactly what image you're talking about.
And what it made me think about is how you brought up on the podcast a few weeks ago that he was kind of turning around on some interviews and being a little bit more positive. That sounds like someone who's been talking to Disney.
That sounds like someone who has been offered a lot of money from Disney to come back for maybe a new start.
And don't blame him. There's no shade being thrown here. It's just
absolutely.
what it sounds like to me.
I have like, I don't know how to I want John Boyega to come back. I do not blame him if he doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
We didn't see Hayden Christensen return for how many years? 15 or something. I do not blame him. I don't blame anyone else for not wanting to come back. But so I would love to see him. I have some other news about movies. Kathleen Kennedy also confirmed that Taika Waititi's film is still in development, and he is the only one writing it. Which
I think that's a good thing, honestly. He's going to live and die on his voice.
Yeah. And
for anyone listening that doesn't know, Taika Waititi, most famous for directing the last 2 Thor films, one of which is incredible, the second of which is okay at best in most people's approximation, but he also has made phenomenal films like What We Do in the Shadow, What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit, one of his early films called Boy. He's a phenomenal filmmaker. I've loved everything he's made up until Thor, and I really doubt Thor Love and Thunder is at worst it's not entirely his fault. At best it was Marvel just wrecked it. It's kind of hard to tell. It doesn't really matter. Everyone's allowed to make bad movies. His most recent film's not so good. Everything before that he's been involved with is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't get made, I don't think it's like delaying him from making something else. And if it does get made, then he took his time on it and he made something he wanted to make. Yeah. Which is exciting.
Before we move on to that, which I can see on camera's screen, Kathleen Kennedy also said that Rogue Squadron, the film, has been nixed.
Shocking.
But she said, discussed that it could be a series.
Let's just get a movie made, please, and then go from there. We don't need, like I talked about when we were talking about Bad Batch Season 2 getting stretched out, we don't need more. We just need, as far as TV shows at least, we don't need more. We are lacking, and I think some people might say, what's the difference? TV shows, movies, it's all Star Wars. To a degree, yeah. I'm glad that we have the shows, but movies are different. Both in like their concentration, their focus, their brevity compared to shows, how they can be focused, and oftentimes, in my opinion, just overall all around quality better. Obviously, there are movies that are worse than TV shows. Not going to argue that. I would much rather take most of the TV show that's been made over episode 9, but I would take the other 4 movies that were made over most of the TV they've made, other than like Andor. But
this is an Andor Stan podcast.
Yeah, and I'm glad it all exists. I'm just talking about, for me, I'm a movie guy. Star Wars is a movie first franchise. It started as movies. It was mostly like up until the Clone Wars cartoon, the second one. Star Wars was primarily movies, then video games, and then you had. And for some people, it was books. For some people, it was comic books. For some people, it was cartoons. But none of those ever rose nowhere near the influential level of the movies. Video games were for video game players. The books were for people who read books. The nerds that read books. Like, they were for but like, lots of people watch the movies, whether you're a movie person or not. And now, people even if you're a TV show person or not, Facebook moms love Grogu. Like, they're more accessible to a bigger audience.
Are you calling my coworker a Facebook mom?
But on the other hand, what I think is kind of cool about the shows is you have a great variety of styles and tones. Like,
it brings more people into the fold for sure.
Well, and it just gives you the chance to do, like, if they were only going to do one TV show, it'd be The Mandalorian. You would never get something as serious or as political or as darker in tone as Andor. But you also wouldn't have anything as silly or light as something like Bad Batch.
Oh, okay. I was
like the silly episodes of Bad Batch.
Which one do you want me to name?
And so what I am getting at here is I want there to be movies so that we can get the same thing. I want as much. Why I love Last Jedi is because Last Jedi is a Rian Johnson film in the Star Wars universe, because everything else, every other Star Wars movie, as much as I love them, are directed by George Lucas or trying to seem like they're directed by George Lucas, which is totally great. I love those. But I also want other things. I want a Taika Waititi film. I want a James Mangold film. I would have been happy with a I'm going to blank on her name, but the woman who's going to direct Rogue Squadron.
Oh, yes.
She directed the last 2 Wonder Woman films and a movie called Monster and some other a lot of TV shows. I would have liked to have seen what she would have done with a Star Wars film. Though also, I think...
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah. And I don't love her as a director, but I think she's got her own style. And I think what really cooked her goose was Top Gun Maverick. There was just... How are you going to top that?
I also heard she asked Chris Pine multiple times to be in Squadron.
He's too busy making Dungeons and Dragons movies. Anyways, what's the next topic?
I have one last thing before we can move on to that. Kathleen Kennedy also said that all future Star Wars movies will include the opening crawl.
Huh. Interesting.
Honestly, I loved the way Rogue One opened. I feel like it set such a different tone. You know, we're all thinking, we're waiting for the Star Wars intro, and it doesn't. And we're all kind of like, what?
So that is what was potentially interesting about the Star Wars Stories movies, of which we only got 2 so far, Rogue One and Solo, was you could get something a little different. You know what to expect with the trilogy films, but the stories could theoretically be something different. I just want diversity of style and voices within Star Wars. And if even just 2 of the films they've announced happen, I think it'll look like that. Oh, also, just wait, never mind, not relevant. I was gonna talk about the Marvels trailer that was released, but that's not relevant.
That's not our podcast.
Miss Marvel. Why I'm excited for the director who's making this new Jedi Order movie. Miss Marvel is a wonderful television show.
It's so good. I loved it, and I'm someone who has not loved Marvel since Infinity War.
Fair.
It's fine. I'll go see it. I'll watch it with friends. It's just not what it used to be for me. Maybe because my brain is like all Star Wars now. I loved Miss Marvel. It was so fun. It felt so refreshing. I think also because all of the cast was great. I feel like it was one of those things like they had fun making this.
Absolutely. So we both are in agreement that's. I mean, we both recognize it had shortcomings. It wasn't perfect, but also I don't know what her experience is like, but I feel like that's probably the biggest thing she's done. That particular director, and I think her voice and her particular tone that she worked with in that show could be really fun to see with Rey raising and training some Jedi.
And if all goes well, Grogu could be around at that time.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll totally depend on where Mando goes. Anyways,
let's talk about The Acolyte.
Yeah,
which is releasing next spring, hopefully.
So is this a show?
Yes, it's a show.
Okay, it is a show. They announced it a while back. It is about a Sith, or at least a dark side user, in the High Republic era. And
I think it's a couple hundred years before Phantom Menace.
Yes, yeah, because it has to be hundreds of years, not thousands of years, because I know Yoda is alive during the High Republic era.
Do you know what else takes place during the High Republic era?
What?
Jedi Younglings. Because Yoda's in it too.
And they also announced that the man who has been playing the body of Chewbacca for like the last couple of live action movies, will be playing his own Wookiee Jedi in the Acolyte show, which is pretty interesting.
Good for him.
I'm trying to see if I can get any more information about this show, but those were like some of the big announcements.
I have not heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little secretive.
It's going to feature Carrie-Anne Moss. Carrie-Anne Moss is most famous, I think, for being Trinity in the Matrix movies.
Really?
Yeah, I think she could be.
I did not make that connection.
I think she could be a really interesting presence in Star Wars. I'm excited about that.
You think she'll get the same treatment
as
of being the strong female character who suddenly falls in?
I think she's a little too old to play that character now, which I'm not saying she should be. I'm just saying the way things are cast. I doubt an actress that old will be in love with a primary character. It's possible. It's being in this show. The Acolyte is being created by Leslie Headland, who's famous for the show Russian Doll, which I know nothing about.
I don't know anything about that.
And other news includes...
I don't know what... Oh, okay. Well, so I can... I didn't have that. I only wrote down a couple of things.
Do we have anything else before we get into the trailers?
Yes, I have a lot of stuff. I have not really heard too much about Skeleton Crew. I kind of missed a lot of that.
Yeah, so Skeleton Crew is...
But there's kids.
Oh
No.
It says it's inspired by 80s family films, specifically ones created by Steven Spielberg.
So there's going to be a group that hates it.
Oh, absolutely. Also, Star Wars is not made for kids. What are you talking about?
Also, bless these child actors. I will defend them with my life.
And the show, I believe, is being... it's being created by John Watts, who directed the whole MCU Spider-Man trilogy. I think that's mostly what we know about it. I think they confirmed that Jude Law's character is a Jedi. I don't know when this is taking place.
I don't know either. I have heard it might be sequel trilogy era.
Yeah, probably.
Or after. I feel like it was supposed to be in that same era as like Squadrons, which I think was supposed to take place after.
Squadrons mostly led up to episode 7.
Did it lead up? Oh, I heard different. That's my bad.
I could be wrong about that.
So before we get to the trailers, which is what everyone's waiting on, I don't have the trailer for this, so I'm going to talk about it. Because Disney has been wiping it from the internet. So Bad Batch has been was confirmed,
renewed for season 3
and final season.
Yes, that's the best news. And I hate Bad Batch. We talked about how much we hated that season 2 was so drawn out. Mm-hmm. So the fact that season 3 is the ending, I wonder if they knew season 3 was going to be the ending while they were making season 2.
Maybe.
It doesn't feel like it.
Confirmed for next year as well, but no like specific time. However, there have been, here's some of the things that people tweeted, because they showed it at Celebration, but it's nowhere on the internet. They scrubbed it. So I don't care if you care about spoilers, I'll tell you. Or if you don't care about spoilers, I will hide it.
It's up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
Palpatine shows up.
Okay.
Apparently he visits Mount Tantus.
What's Mount Tantus?
The mountain where all the clones are at. It's the clone farm.
Okay.
Wolf is supposed to make his debut.
Okay, cool.
Supposedly Fennec Shand will come back.
Okay, nice.
And supposedly we will see Cody again.
All right. Sounds good.
That's really all I got. I think the other thing before we get into trailers, I guess I could send this to you because it's fun. But so Return of the Jedi's 40th anniversary is this year, and it will be released in theaters for about a couple of days on the 28th. They released a vintage trailer.
Oh, nice.
Do you want to watch it?
I think we have enough to watch for today.
So with that, the way they ended it was with the Revenge of the Jedi title card.
Oh, nice.
So that was a fun little tidbit.
Because that was the original title of the movie.
So anyways, I think we should do Visions.
Okay, so Star Wars Visions was a collection of anime shorts on Disney Plus. Every short was vaguely set in the Star Wars universe, nowhere near canonical.
It's almost like a what if, but it's just more. It's not canon, but it's
Otherworld or Legends or
it was almost kind of like Legends. It was fun.
Yeah, no, incredibly well made. Like none of it.
The Village Bride is the best episode, and I'll die on that hill.
It takes place in all sorts of different animation styles, and it might like seem like it's set in Star Wars. It might be like Star Wars if it were blank, like more samurai inspired, or more anime, or more this direction or that direction. So pretty much it's just like Star Wars, but it's anime, but also all the different kinds of anime. And it was tons of fun. We really enjoyed it.
I think this is coming out soon.
It's on May 4th, I think.
Is it May 4th?
Yeah.
So last year or 2 years ago?
So this is a trailer for
Season 2.
Season 2, and we're going to play it right now.
It will be.
Is that Bane?
That is what I thought. But
we're seeing a Sith who looks like the very famous Sith from the Old Republic named Darth Bane.
I was born in the Sith side.
We got a woman with a yellow lightsaber that's like a little curved, more like a real sword.
Follow the light. I always knew you were meant for bigger things.
What if you just keep going?
No need to fear. There are others like you here. I saw it myself. She has special powers.
Can you get your porta potty off the
There's a stop motion one. I know that one's made by Aardman, who made Wallace and Gromit.
Don't be afraid.
There's all sorts of different styles. There's 3D, there's like hand-drawn, there's Clone Wars style.
It's showtime.
There's like very simple 2D animation, there's very more detailed 2D animation. That was like very fabric-y stop motion. Then there's also different kinds of stop motion as well.
Kubo.
Yeah, there's like 3D printed stop motion.
That's very
Taika or Laika Studios. Yeah, that looks phenomenal. Yeah, this looks super fun.
The cheese, Gromit, the cheese.
We got all sorts of different stuff going on. And ultimately, Vision is much less about story, obviously, and more just about experience. Which is just... Oh, wow. So the woman with the yellow lightsaber reveals that it's double-bladed, and her second blade is red.
She stole someone's kyber crystal.
Yeah.
That looks good. That's so good.
All for it. Yeah, that ultimately encapsulates everything I was just talking about a minute ago about diversity of style in Star Wars. Like, that is that. Because this has nothing to do with canon, nothing to do with an overarching narrative. Just like, what cool stories can we tell in Star Wars that you would never tell otherwise? And I think that is a brilliant concept.
I forgot some other news that I forgot to say.
Go for it.
So Dave Filoni announces his second season of Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
Quoted, "Tales of the Jedi was so fun the first time I decided to do some more," which is one of the most George Lucas quotes I've ever heard of. So that was fun.
So Tales of the Jedi was a mini-series of Clone Wars style animations that ultimately what it did is it told some stories of Dooku and young Qui-Gon and also Ahsoka.
Yes.
And it was pretty much establishing, it was filling in little gaps. Before episode 1, like kind of during episode 1, it showed an interaction of Qui-Gon and Dooku on Coruscant that would have been taking place like concurrent with episode 1. And then we saw some more Anakin training Ahsoka, and then we saw some more stuff at post episode 3 Ahsoka. And effectively what it did is it established the lineage of Dooku to Ahsoka. It's Dooku with Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan Anakin, Anakin Ahsoka. And it kind of established how Dooku's mistrust of the Jedi led him in one direction, and Ahsoka's mistrust of the Jedi led her in a different direction, and how there's a
duality
thread
of
there.
man.
There's a really interesting thread there that they tied up, and it was not exceptional in my opinion, but it did contribute some
I wanted to
interesting
see
details.
more Dooku, really.
Sure.
And this is also not really too much of a meme, but it's something we've talked about quite a lot. So sorry, I didn't really organize. I thought I had my notes more organized. New Black Series figures.
Oh my gosh.
I will make it very brief because there's some very interesting ones. As we all know, I have talked multiple times. Will Hasbro be releasing the Bad Batch Season 2 figures in their new armor? They will. And I just pre-ordered Omega yesterday. I will be pre-ordering the rest of the Bad Batch when they come out in May, which is super exciting. So they released Cad Bane. They also, for the 40th anniversary, they are releasing a, first of all, Vader from Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
The Emperor's Royal Guard.
Nice.
Force Ghosts with Anakin,
fun.
Obi-Wan, Alec McGinnis, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. Jedi Knight, Luke Skywalker, which I would actually really like to pick up. And then all our Bad Batches. Omega looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I just pre-ordered her
it's
yesterday.
probably easier to translate cartoon characters into
It
toys.
really is, because it's, I don't know what it is, but they do hunt her so dirty in each mold.
Let's take a look.
It's the hair. They've slicked his hair down so bad that it's just not as voluminous as it is in the animation. But I will be buying them. Clone Commando. The Commandos look really cheap.
Now what? Oh, Clone Commandos.
The Clone Commandos in all the Black series look so cheap. I don't know what it is.
They just lack detail.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like,
they're not bulky like they are in the Clone Wars.
Yes, I think that's what it is. It's like they've shrunk them down to fit the mold, and I'm like, those are some beefy dudes in the show.
That really does look very cheap.
I think that's what it is, because there's other Commandos that you can collect from like the Gaming Great series, and I'm like, I want to pick them up, but then I see them in prison, I'm like, these men are skinny. Anyways, there's Indiana Jones stuff, but that's not what this podcast is about. So that is actually all of my trailer stuff.
Nice. Well, that's all your news stuff. But now we're gonna get back into the trailers.
And now we're gonna watch the bootlegged. Oh,
well, first we're going in order of importance. I think going backwards.
True.
So we've got the final gameplay trailer for Jedi Survivor,
which also comes out on April 28th.
This is much more for Rachel than me. So this is the video game sequel to Jedi
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah.
Now look at him. The weight of a galaxy on your
So could you have a double-bladed one in the first game?
Yeah, but not to like the very end.
I see. So there's like a dinosaur thing eating some. There's a very Jurassic Park-esque scene.
BD1!
Could you run on? I assume you could run on walls like that. So you call out if you see any new gameplay stuff. So he just like launched a guy into a TIE fighter.
Oh!
We're seeing a lot of Coruscant. I saw the other day that they confirmed that you do get to play on Coruscant.
I hate Marin's haircut.
Rancor.
Oh no, I'm so bad at the combat.
Did you get to ride vehicles in the first one? Like
there's a short time where you pilot an AT-AT.
So there's no like speeder bikes in the first one?
No, not that I remember.
Yeah, so that seems to be a new element of gameplay. Droidicas. Wow, that's definitely a Trade Federation ship that you're on inside there. So there seems to be a lot of Force users here.
And that guy looks... Well, Marin is a Dathomir witch.
Oh, okay.
But we see that old Republic-looking guy, who we see in the previous trailer where he's like, how did you let this happen?
Well, was that the same guy, or was that a different guy?
I thought it was the same guy.
I think this guy is a different guy.
Keep going back a little bit more. A little bit more. Nope, no, right there. Right.
But I can't.
Okay, leave it here.
This guy.
Yeah. Maybe it is a little bit
I
different.
thought the other guy had a beard, it was like older.
Maybe, huh?
And then so this is at a minute 29, this very gray looking dude, but then there's also let's see. You can ride this two-legged creature here. This guy, who is this guy? He's got a double-bladed blue lightsaber. There's all sorts of different guys it looks like you get to fight in this one.
All sorts of different guys.
Different guys. That's what Star Wars is ultimately.
But so the funny thing about this is they have upped the customization, because a lot of things in the last game you could like kind of change his poncho. And dude had like 10 different ponchos. You could customize the lightsaber at the very end, which is a little bit bummer. You can do that from the start. You can customize his hair. You can there's a mullet. Mullet Cal can be canon. It's hysterical. But that is such a, I don't know about fun, interesting scene where they're on the speeder bike and Cal launches that scout trooper into the face of a TIE fighter.
Just throws him up and the TIE fighter hits him. That's pretty cool. Hopefully that's an actual gameplay mechanic and not like a...
like a cutscene?
A cutscene and or like a quick time event.
No, not the quick time.
Okay, it looks like a fun game. Looks really solid. So here we've got a fan-recorded...
A bootlegged Andor Season 2 trailer, which is next fall, I believe. I think next August.
I heard August, yeah. Okay, so we've got...
Imagine if it's not, and I didn't even watch this, I'm going to be honest.
If this is fake... So they're doing something very similar to the trailer for the first one. Where they show the backs of a bunch of characters.
Something's happening. You don't know the half of it.
Everyone has their own rebellion, right? If we
It's kind of hard to make out exactly what's going on in a lot of these scenes because the detail's so low.
Well, they're also trying not to get caught filming this.
Yeah. There's a lot of romance going on. A lot of people holding each other gingerly. Oh, someone's on fire now.
Shut it down!
So what I heard is the show is going to jump years.
It is.
Throughout the season, which I think is really... So it's going to move a lot faster than the first season.
It's going to do like an arc and then a couple years and then an arc. And from what Diego Luna said, I think this is where we really see Cassian Andor become the spy that he is by the time Rogue One is. Supposedly, and I don't know how true this is, it will lead into Rogue One.
Sounds great to me.
So anyways...
Okay, so now we're at the crown jewel.
I did not watch it, Cameron. I know some of the things that happened, but I did not watch it.
This is a trailer for the Ahsoka series.
I feel like we need to watch it in silence.
Ahsoka was...
It is Rebels Season 5.
Ahsoka was introduced in the Clone Wars as Anakin's Padawan, and then became a prominent character in Rebels. And then Rebels ended with a pretty big cliffhanger. And so I'm gonna quickly spoil Ahsoka. Or sorry,
Rebels Season 4 spoilers.
I'm gonna quickly spoil it. It's like, so Rebels ends with the main crew deciding to most of them are decide to defend the planet of Lothal from the Empire, and that's where they are throughout the 3 original movies. But what happens before that, at the end of the season, was the main character of the show, a young Jedi named Ezra
Bridger,
decided to sacrifice himself and defeat the main villain of the series, Grand Admiral Thrawn, by calling forth a bunch of Force whales. Which,
if you've listened to our previous podcast, we see in the second episode of Mandalorian in the hyperspace, because they can travel hyperspace. The deep Star Wars lore,
and
is that Purgle is what inspired the hyperspace travel in general.
Purgle being the term of the space whales.
Yes, this is the space.
And so these space whales like grab onto the Star Destroyer that Ezra and Thrawn are in. Thrawn being a very popular character because he was the big villain of the books that take place after Episode 6. There's a famous book series called Heir to the Empire, where he is pretty much the biggest villain of Star Wars outside of the movies.
And in newer canon, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I haven't read these books, in newer canon, he worked alongside Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars.
Oh, interesting. And so he is but as of what we know from Rebels, he's just a very high-ranking Imperial officer and strategist.
Too good at his job.
And so he has to be taken out. And so Ezra sacrifices himself and they disappear out into space, presumably dead because they're in a ship that's been launched into hyperspace. But the show ends with our characters deciding to defend Lothal, and then Ahsoka shows up mysteriously.
So they defend Lothal. They successfully defend Lothal. They drive back the Empire, and then it skips to after Return of the Jedi.
Correct.
Where Ahsoka shows up and sees Sabine. And it ends ominously, and everyone calls her Ahsoka the White because she returns like Gandalf in a white cloak.
And then the next time we see Ahsoka is in The Mandalorian Season 2 as the first Jedi that they find looking to reunite with Grogu. And we learn from that episode that Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn. So, and in some new information that's come out in this episode of Mandalorian that came out just today,
we'll get to it. That's spoilers.
They're starting to give more information about there are some people who think Thrawn is alive.
Yes.
And he is seen as like the savior of the Empire Remnant.
Because to put him like at a level, if you haven't seen Rebels, so Thrawn was working on a TIE fighter project, a tri-fighter, if you could say, like a new and improved TIE fighter project that would have like supposedly changed the way the fleet worked, the Imperial Navy fleet worked. His project was up against Orson Krennic's Stardust, which is the Death Star. So that can kind of give you an idea of where they were in terms of levels in the Empire, where like this isn't like a typical Imperial commander. Like
he wears white.
This is where they are at. He is going kind of toe to toe, trying to get funding for his project. So he's a pretty important dude.
And overall, just a very analytical guy.
By Lars Mikkelsen.
Very good at predicting people's actions. He's very cool and calculated. He's not your mustache twirling villain. He pretty much sees that there needs to be control in the universe. It needs to be order, and he believes the Empire is that way. And so he respects his enemies and tries to understand them. There's a famous quote from Rebels of he would collect the art of his enemies, and he says to one of his underlings, I remember that some people don't respect art the same way I do, or something like that.
So
he
almost had it. So
that's the context for this new Ahsoka show.
General Price and Agent Callus, I think, and some other lackey that's there.
We're going to let this trailer play now for the live action Ahsoka TV show.
And we're just going to absorb.
Something's coming. Something dark. I sense it.
This is a new beginning. For some, war. For others, power.
It's been a while. Things have changed. I started hearing whispers about Duran's return as heir to the Empire. We have to prepare for the worst. The Jedi fell a long time ago. There aren't many left.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
Rachel seems very happy right now.
This is my Spider-Man No Way Home.
So there's a lot going on here. It starts off with
that feels like almost a shot, very similar shot to when we see Ahsoka at the end of Rebels.
Yes, let's go through it in order here. So it starts off with this really cool element of Ahsoka throws both of her lightsabers into the ground and then uses the Force to twirl them around to cut a hole in this
most logical Jedi move
in this these ruins, which is just a baller move, I think. And she falls down on the piece that she's cut out, and
a red Lucasfilm logo.
Red Lucasfilm logo, and then we cut to Sabine.
Her hair's so long.
So Sabine was the Mandalorian of the crew in Rebels. And
she wielded the Darksaber for a short time before she gave it to Bo, who then lost it.
And she has, so it's just, we're just getting to finally see these animated characters
Ghost
in live
crew.
action, which is just really fun.
Live action Lothcat. I will be buying that merch.
Well, so we see Lothcats in Mandalorian as well. Are these
True.
baby Lothcats?
I don't know.
Because it looks different.
It's fluffy. That's what it is.
It's definitely smaller than Lothcats you see in Mando.
I mean, it could be. They probably have kittens.
So then we see Ahsoka fighting some what seem to be droids, but they could be people in armor.
That's the shuttle from the ghost ship.
So the Ghost is the ship that the Rebels crew flies around in, and they have a smaller ship that detaches. I think it's called like the Spectre or something.
Like that, yeah. And
it cuts to the interior, and we see General Syndulla, who was the pilot of the Ghost.
Do you know who that is?
It's
Ewan McGregor's wife.
Yes, she.
I can't remember her name. That's terrible. She's
totally
not just
blanking.
his wife,
she
but I
played
can't remember her name.
in Scott Pilgrim. She is Ramona Flowers.
Oh, that's
she
probably why I didn't
is
recognize her.
in. She's in Sky High. She was like the villain of the movie. She she was in Birds of Prey as the Huntress.
Wow.
And her name is Elizabeth Winstead. Elizabeth
Yes.
something Winstead. And you know, she's not the first person I would have chosen as Syndulla. What's her first name?
Hera.
Hera Syndulla. But she's an excellent actress. I love her a lot. She is really good at playing lots of different kinds of characters. Of course, probably her best performance to date is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
phenomenal in that. She's also the main character in the Thing
Yes.
prequel. She's been in a lot of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy stuff. She's definitely a good pull here, and I think she'll be really good. So we see her flying the
Our girl
Spectre,
Hera.
and then it cuts to the exterior of the ship and the crew's astro mech droid, very similar to R2-D2, but definitely a different design, is Chopper.
Very close to the original design of R2-D2.
A lot boxier. He has like
Our war criminal.
Yes, he is a murderer. He kills people.
Chopper has a kill count of over 55,000. He's like the third ranked kill count. I think R2-D2 is the only one that's above him, and he only gets that because he took out the Death Star.
And then it cuts to a character that I don't know who this is, but this guy is scary.
new.
He is a white bearded man in dark outfit who later we see with a red lightsaber.
Orange.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Dave said it was orange.
Oh, cool. His name is
Skull.
Balin Skull, who he's a new character played by Ray Stevenson, who's been in a lot of different stuff. He is one of the Warriors 3 in the Thor movies.
You said Warriors, and I was like Warrior Cast?
Yeah, or is it Warriors 4? No, it's Warriors 3. And he is also he played Punisher in Punisher Warzone.
Wait, he voiced Gar Saxon in season 3 of Star Wars Rebels.
Well, there you go. That's
and
cool.
in the revival of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That's really interesting.
So this guy, he's a big guy.
It's Gar Saxon.
He's very scary looking. He's very serious, and I'm assuming this guy's the villain. We see him later fighting Ahsoka. Don't know who this character is. I assume she has a similar color lightsaber to him.
She could be. I did see. This was one thing that got someone posted a screenshot because apparently I think some people were like, "Is this Omega?"
I really doubt it.
No,
but,
you can't just look at someone who had the same hair color.
But so we have another young lady with similar armor to the first guy.
They look like Inquisitors.
Yeah, and she also has an orange lightsaber. She's got white hair, and I'm assuming she's his like Padawan or something. And then we have effectively what is a recreation of the final sequence from Rebels with Ahsoka showing up on Lothal to meet Sabine.
With the Hammerhead Corvette.
And I think it's really cool that this is the presumption here is that Ahsoka literally picks up where Rebels dropped off, which is perfect.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
So perfect.
This is my Infinity War. This is my homecoming. And then
we get a hologram meeting, and right dead and center is our everyone's new favorite
Genevieve
mom,
O'Reilly,
Mom
Mothma,
everyone's mommy.
Right.
This particular actress plays this character most predominantly in Andor. But she also played her in deleted scenes from episode 3. She played her in Rogue One, and the character originally appeared in episode 6. And
many Bothans died to bring us this message.
I don't recognize any of these other 5 people in this meeting.
I don't either.
But it's cool to see Mon Mothma here. And that actress is so wonderful in the part.
So good.
Then we get a reference to Thrawn in the back of
back of Thrawn.
We get a man who appears to have blue ears and is in his particular white outfit.
We already know Lars Mikkelsen has been cast as Thrawn.
Yes. So the voice actor of Thrawn from the show is playing Thrawn. in Ahsoka, which is very cool. The more often they can get the original voice actor to play the live action character, the more excited I am. No idea who this character is.
I'm excited to have.
So this shot, honestly, for me,
what does this look like, Cameron?
Oh, I know exactly what it looks like. This particular shot right here is probably one of the most exciting elements of this trailer for me. So we see Ahsoka stomping up to this big rad dude Balin here, and they are very clearly in. Now I don't know the term for it, but it's introduced in Rebels.
It's the world between worlds.
Yes, this is how Ahsoka survived her fight with Vader in Rebels. Was that on the Jedi Temple on Lothal, Ezra was able to get access to the world between worlds, was effectively this like blank space with portals to different time periods.
It's just like pure force.
And Ezra was able to pull Ahsoka out of that point of time where she was about to be killed by Darth Vader into what was then the present. And this is very clearly where this fight is taking place.
And I also think, I just want to say this because, so the world between world, I won't say with the War of the Worlds. I was going to say every single time. The world between worlds is not them retconning the sequels.
Correct.
I have seen people talk about that and they're like, they could retcon it. But if you watch the scene with the world between worlds between Ezra and Ahsoka, Ezra's like, I just saved you. I can save Kanan. Rebel spoilers. I can save Kanan. And there's this whole conversation of you can't change the past. And Ahsoka has some kind of plot armor. Well, I mean, but we see this,
aka being Dave Filoni's favorite character.
We see this from her little bird companion, that owl companion that follows her around,
Ahsoka's companion,
which is the sister from the Mortis arc. And if you don't know, there's like this kind of trinity of deities of the Father, the Son, and the sister. The sister is the light side. For the Force. The sister is the light side. The Son is the dark side, and the Father is what keeps them in balance. So in the Mortis arc, we see that. Yeah. So I think it's important to say that while we're going to see the world between worlds, this isn't going to be a retcon of the sequels, because as we've seen with Bad Batch and Mandalorian, it's all building up to it anyways. But nonetheless, it is going to be so exciting to see that in live action.
I totally agree. So then we see Baylan again going down a hallway, doing a very similar thing to that Darth Vader does in Rogue One, of just grabbing a guy and holding him up. We see our boy, our precious baby boy. Sabine is looking at a hologram of Ezra, who presumably the show will be very focused around finding out where he is as well.
We're going to get a Force Awakens, but with Ezra, where he shows up in the last 5 minutes and says nothing.
Then we get Ahsoka fighting what would appear to be Inquisitor, because it's a double-sided red lightsaber with the circular handle.
I believe you mean the helicopter blade. Cameron, we could see live-action helicopter blades.
And then Ahsoka does a hero landing. So I have no idea what this is. You got excited about this, but I don't know who this is.
He shows up in Clone Wars. He is the one that teaches younglings. He went with the younglings to Ilum. And if I didn't hear it correctly, David Tennant voices him in the Clone Wars. This droid is like thousands of years old, I think.
Nice.
He's been teaching younglings since like ever. So if that is the same droid, and it could be someone different, but if it's the same one, he survived Order 66, which is pretty impressive.
Very true. And one last thing I wanted to address, there's an interesting piece of dialogue in here. The Jedi fell a long time ago. I'm reading the captions. There aren't many left. And is that just where it ends? Oh, so Ahsoka says that, and then the droid says, perhaps it's time to begin again. So, and then, perhaps it is time to begin again.
Observation. Do you know who I didn't see in that trailer?
Who did you not see?
Well, we didn't see Zeb, which is interesting. I mean, I'm sure he'll show up. We didn't see my favorite, but that's fine. Jason is not in there. Hera and Kanan's son. So here's my thing. Where is he? That character needs some live action redemption, because he looks really not good in the finale.
Yeah, he's because Hera is a Twi'lek, and Kanan is a human. So they have a mutant baby who has got green hair,
mostly human,
and green eyes, but human skin, and he just looks terrifying at the end of Rebels. He briefly appears in the final episode of Rebels, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chopper killed him in his sleep.
No, that would be Athena if I ever had it. But so that makes me worried. Did he go train with Luke? I refuse to. I will be so mad if that's what happens to him.
Much like how the Empire kept sending characters off to a farm, the characters they didn't like. The New Republic can just theoretically send any characters we don't like off to train with Luke and then get killed by Kylo.
That's why they had to give Grogu back, because everyone was like, wait. All
right, and that seems to be the conclusion of our Star Wars Celebration recap.
So, like I said, it's coming out in August. Ahsoka is my Marvel's Endgame, my No Way Home. This is I will be annoying and I will not apologize.
Okay, we are an hour into this recording. We got to talk about Mando.
I have one more thing. It's too very quickly because I forgot to say it last. I can't remember her first name either. I'm really bad at this. Peter Mayhew, who played the original Chewbacca. His wife passed away 2 weeks ago.
Rip.
It's Star Wars related. Also, my coworker likes to throw shade at Rebels because I get so up in arms about it. And he made a really funny comment. I don't remember what it was, but he made some comment. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, I'm insulting your culture." That was it. That's all I had. But so, anyways, an amazing week. The Star Wars fans are eating good.
Okay, so now we are on to The Mandalorian.
Chapter 23. So next week is the finale.
Crazy that we are already here. We are already going to be through our first... I somehow ended up on the Hy-Vee webpage. I don't know how that happened. Mandalorian.
Now all of the podcast fans know where we live.
Oh, please. Okay, chapter 23.
Despise.
This is season 3, episode 7. And it is directed by Rick Famuyiwa.
Famuyiwa?
Famuyiwa?
Okay, I don't know.
We apologize to our friend Rick. He's a good director. We like him. Sorry,
our friend
we can't
Rick.
pronounce your name.
Thanks, Rick, for sponsoring our podcast tonight.
So going to go quick through this recap, and then I'm just going to quickly recap it, and then you can give your notes. Look, we're an hour into this. We've been recording for a long time. I want you to be able to give your notes, unadulterated. So I'm just going to quickly recap the episode, and then I just want to hear your thoughts, because I know you probably have a lot of things to say. We get an introduction. We finally see that Moff Gideon is still alive, and he meets with a hologram council, as he refers to it, the Shadow Council.
And we see Elia Kane.
Yeah, so it starts with Elia Kane, the supposedly reformed Imperial, meeting in the depths of Coruscant with a droid, a Imperial droid, and she talks to Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon goes off and reports to this Shadow Council of former Imperial officers that he needs an army. He needs reinforcements in order to take out the Mandalorians. We cut to the title. We cut to the Mandalorians everyone meeting each other on, I always forget the name of this planet. Navarro. It's the Way and the Children of the Watch. They form an uneasy alliance.
Those are the same thing.
The Way and the Watch?
Yeah, the Children of the Watch follow the Way.
Then who are the blue?
I think they're just normal.
They're not like Night Watch or Death Watch or anything?
They might be former Death
or
Watch. Or
Night Owls?
No, they're not Night Owls.
Huh. Okay. Anyways, we've got all the blue armored people who are the mercenaries, and we have the Way. And they form an uneasy alliance to go to Mandalore and reclaim it. They get there, they meet some like wind pirates who are like former Night Owls, and then they do some stuff. They like fight. They just like
they're trying to find the
stuff.
forge.
They find the forge
so that they can bring everyone back home.
They find the forge, and some stormtroopers show up. Stormtroopers with Beskar armor. And they lead the Mandalorians into a trap, and this trap results in the capture of Din Djarin. And
I forgot that happened. Oh crap!
And the death of Paz Vizsla. He has joined his family as the Post Vizslas, and is a really great death. And he is defeated by the same guard who defended Snoke, or the same style of guard who defends Snoke in episode 8. And we also get to see the reveal of Moff Gideon in his own Beskar armor. That's pretty sick as well.
That's sick armor, I'm not going to lie.
And so it concludes with the Mandalorians, a small group of the surviving Mandalorians trying to escape back to their fleet. So that's the broad strokes of the episode. What notes do you have, Rachel?
So this is so weird. So there's some club music at the beginning that we hear, and I could recognize it.
It's so funny. We normally go by piece, so to start off with as a small detail be really funny, but for me to like end with the episode ends with Paz dying, but Din is captured. So there's some club music.
So,
at
anyways,
the
the diegetic club music at the beginning sounded very similar to me, and I think I finally placed it. I'd love to see some side by side, but it sounds.
Can we find it on the Andor soundtrack?
Yeah. So I know what it's called. It's the first one. It's not volume 3. It's volume 1. It's called Niamos. So scroll down.
Scroll volume 1.
It's that one.
This one right here?
Yep.
Okay, then I'm going to find the episode. You keep talking, I'm going to find it.
So there's
on
like
Disney
a bit.
Plus.
It's not, I don't know if it's exactly, but it's when the beat drops in Niamos. I was kind of, and I listened to the Andor soundtrack a lot. It is perfect. It sounded just a little bit very similar to it. So Cameron's gonna pull it up, but I was sitting, I was like, where does this, where do I recognize this? So
so you can go ahead to your next note. We'll come back to it once I find it.
So we see Moff Gideon, the thing that we've kind of been leading up to this whole time. And so, with your comment about the Beskar armor, we now know it wasn't a Mandalorian framing.
Correct.
Or maybe it was, but I don't know. But they have the Beskar armor anyway.
Well, it was not Mandalorians who broke out Moff Gideon.
Goff Midian.
It's Moff Gideon and his sidekick, Goth Midian. Okay, I'm going to put on the sound.
Yes. So you're going to have to scroll like...
this is the... it didn't give me the option to skip the recap.
Okay, go.
Right here?
Yeah.
Maybe a little earlier. Okay.
It's just a little bit.
And so here is the track from which one was it?
It's Niamos.
And here's a track from Andor.
Just wait. Skip a little bit.
Oh yeah. Okay, and then back to the Mandalorian. Yeah. Good cat.
I don't think it's exact.
No, but it's very
But it could be
similar.
one of those things where Star Wars is very much...
Yeah, that's fun. Good catch.
The only crime of Niamos is that it's not longer.
A minute 41.
But so, yeah. So anyway, it's fun. It's not exact, and when it comes out, I'll probably listen to it side by side, but it's a little similar, so it could be the same band. But so Moff Gideon meets the Shadow Council, where we get a lot of interesting name drops, where we get, first of all, Admiral Pelion. He is, I don't know if we ever see him in Rebels, but Thrawn contacts him.
Interesting. Wow.
So I don't know if he's ever actually.
Do you just know that off the top of your head?
I saw it on TikTok. I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed. This is one of the things that, if you're gonna post things on the day of, mark it as spoilers.
Looks like he's a book character. The top comment on Reddit says, "Whoever they cast as Captain Paleon is spot on what I expect him to look like based off the books."
Yes, and I think he just gets a name drop in Rebels, very similar to Orson Krennic. But so then we get some other interesting name drops. We get Thrawn. So they're trying to figure out, is Thrawn alive? As we see, this is very much heir to the Empire. Mm-hmm. And then we get a Brendol Hux.
Father of everyone's Weasley man.
Armistead Hux. So that was kind of interesting. So it runs in the family.
Yeah, it was funny. I feel like you didn't really know. They mentioned his name, but I didn't realize he was in the room until he started talking off camera. Mm-hmm. That actor was doing a spot-on impersonation of the actor who plays his son, Domhnall Gleeson, who plays General Hux in the sequel trilogy.
Casting call. You don't have to look like him, but can you do a good impression?
Can you be a fuppus British man?
There was a quote that I found was funny, where I can't remember who says, "Our hope depends on the secrecy of his return." So they're like, we have to keep it quiet. And I was like, very bold words if Ezra Bridger is involved.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
So one of the Imperials says, our hope depends on the secrecy of his return. Thrawn's. They're like, we need to keep this quiet. That is a very bold phrase to say if Ezra Bridger is anywhere close to that, because he cannot keep a secret to save his life. Very blabbermouth, and we love him for it. I just thought that was funny because, I just think Thrawn and Ezra Bridger having to hang out for how many years is probably taking a toll on both of them. Here's my other thought. Can you imagine if they pulled Jack Black again for this episode?
As one of the Imperial. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been so good. I would have been here for it. That would have been so funny. So then the Mandalorian ship shows up, and on the bottom of it, they have a giant Mythosaur logo painted, and you later commented, who did they get to paint that? And there was a pause, and you went, Sabine? Which is hilarious, because Sabine is the Mandalorian from Rebels, and she is a tag spray paint artist. Yeah. So they go back to Navarro, and so we get a little bit of an IG reveal, only to find out it is legs for Grogu.
Yes. Oh, so an Anzellan comes in piloting IG's body, and they're not calling it IG-12 because it was formerly IG-11. And I just said, the Anzellan's going to take over the universe. But he willingly gives up because clearly the Anzellans are too chill to want to rule the universe. So he gives this new mech body to Grogu. And also gives Grogu a wide berth as he sprints past him. No squeezy. Bad baby, no squeezy.
So I thought, so Grogu operating the IG unit has the same vibes as BB-8 operating that chicken walker in The Last Jedi.
But with one small addition, he can make IG say one of two words. Yes or no. Oh my gosh. Comedy. I feel like I could feel all the Star Wars dude bros losing their crap at this moment because Star Wars has gotten too fun, too silly. It's too child because they're already complaining that Grogu's too much of a cash grab. This is adorable. This is funny.
That's what the Ewoks were.
Like, I don't honestly need Grogu to be plot centric. I just want him to be there and be like relevant.
And now he
but now he's not. Now he's just there. And I love that he's just goofing around. I think it's great.
He's a child.
He washed out of training camp with Luke because Luke's too serious and too much of a drag. And he's like, no, I want to go have fun with my papa. I'm going to pilot this droid. I'm going to squish some Melu runs.
Luke, my dad's connections killed everyone versus Grogu, I want my daddy.
We all can agree that we hate our father. Not me. I love my dad.
Oh, no. I get it. You all grew up without fathers. Not me. So we get to see the interactions between the Watch and the regular Mandalorians, and things are tense. But one thing I noticed, so they're like, we're going to have a feast. And I was definitely thinking, what food do they have? And they are roasting 2 of those bird dragon things over the fire that they got a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
That is what they're
Good
spinning.
catch. Oh my gosh, such a good catch. Because I noticed that they were cooking something big, but it didn't really faze me until you pointed it out. Also, real fast, so I just Google searched Mandalorian The Watch, and you're right that the Way is also the children of the Watch. But it brings up the Death Watch logo, and I noticed this logo was on one of
their shoulders. Yes,
one of the normal Mandalorians. So I think it confirms that this ragtag group of Mandalorians with the blue armor are just random Mandalorians.
There are a lot of different subsets.
So they could be from any tribe or whatever.
So they go to Mandalore, and they encounter a ship with wheels and skis, which is very
like
interesting.
A sail.
Yeah, and it's the Night Owls, which I haven't really heard of before, but it's the Mandalorians that were able to survive, and they're not doing too hot. And
I think before that, Bo gave like a stirring speech.
Oh,
to
yes.
Actually, I think she might give it later.
No, was she calling for volunteers?
Yes.
That was on Navarro.
But later she gives a speech on there when I think at some point she gives a speech. I can't remember exactly when it is.
On how she lost the Darksaber?
Well, just saying Mandalorians, we have never been defeated. We only defeat ourselves because of infighting. But I wanted to bring that up simply because there's a comment here on Reddit that says Bo's speech would have been better received if she had the talking stick, aka the talking hammer from the last episode.
Wait, wouldn't the Darksaber be the ultimate talking stick?
One would think, but no.
I'm surprised she didn't flex it for everyone, but I guess they all know. The Watch, I don't know. Anyways, so we see we kind of get to see how Bo lost the Darksaber to Moff Gideon, and she gave it up in exchange for the survival of her people. And then Moff Gideon pulled an Uno reverse and was like, "No, JK."
All right, we gotta take a step back. Sorry. So, the man playing Papa Hux is played by Brendan Gleeson's brother, or at least they're related because they have the same last name. Phenomenal. So
Amazing.
fun.
Top tier.
I love this fact. He's somehow related to him. Perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Good, top
Sorry,
tier.
I just had to go back to that real quick.
So that's kind of interesting. We get to know how Bo lost the Darksaber, and that kind of like filled in a nice hole. That it wasn't something she lost in combat, but she gave it up to try to save her people. One thing I wanted to say, so we see this ship that the Night Owls have, and it reminds me of when we meet Rex and the other clones in Rebels Season 2.
Yeah,
They're on that planet,
very
and
like
they're on their
patchwork ship
Yes.
for traveling the surface of this weird planet.
Also, we got to see Axe Woves and Paz Vizsla play chess, and then start fighting, and then get chastised by Grogu.
No.
These
This
two
is,
have beef with a toddler.
gotta say, it's a better performance from
Taika
Taika Waititi just saying yes and no than his performance as Korg in Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think you mean Korg Love and Thunder.
Very nice.
So we get to kind of see an interesting monster for 2 seconds that destroys their ship. So then they're on foot. That was it. It was cool, but I'm like, oh,
This season's obsession with kaiju is a little unnecessary. And also, that's some of the worst piloting we've seen in Star Wars in a
drove
while.
into it!
They just steered right
They drove
into
into it!
this monster, and
bad.
though the image of they could fit, going back to the joke about a Mandalorian ship being a clown car. So many Mandalorians come flying out of that ship. It's pretty cool,
Sorry.
honestly.
It's like when you throw like something into like an outside trash can in summer and all the flies come out.
One small other note I had that I thought was hilarious. When Bo-Katan was trying to get everyone to go back, I think she said that Mandalore is not cursed, and you went, "It's blurst." Made me laugh. I thought that was really funny.
You did get a kick out of that one. So then we get to, you had a funny comment, so we get to see where the Great Forge was. And so, it's a little rough for shape. And so you went Great Forge, now the Forge.
No, I just said a
Or
forge.
A forge, yes. So they have a half-hearted moments of peace, and then we get to see some Imperial stormtroopers that look a lot like Mandalorians.
Which you are already pre-ordering the
Oh my
the
gosh, that
Black
looks so
Series
cool!
toys.
As soon as we saw them in the first scene in Moff Gideon's little cave, this is the coolest figures. I
They're
will be
pretty
pre-ordering
darn
them. I will
cool.
also be pre-ordering Moff Gideon's new look because that's pretty sick. But we'll get to
Absolutely.
that. But it was interesting how they're running through the caves and the immediate switch to Imperial architecture was like,
Yeah.
are y'all kidding me?
Yeah. I could immediately tell, we were not in a very, it looked reused. It looked like reused sets, which
Yeah.
is kind of intentional. So they fall right into the heart of the Imperial base there on the subterranean base where they're keeping TIE interceptors and bombers and these armored stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And they're not having a good time after that.
No, so they get trapped. They trap a few on the other side, which they kill 2 of, and then they disarm Din and take him away.
And like it's funny. It's definitely a plot convenience how much it takes to take down Din. Sometimes like a single knockoff General Grievous can take him down. Other times,
Sometimes he can slip on a step and sink 200 feet into the water in 5 seconds.
sometimes he doesn't know how to swim. Other times it takes like 10 stormtroopers in Beskar armor, and even then they have to like tie him up. And it's a cool scene though. I just want to ultimately say
was good.
Him like shooting the flamethrower everywhere and having to be like his arms be tied.
So Moff Gideon's like, open the door, we're gonna kill them all.
Yes, they trap all the Mandalorians in one room. Which, if they had this plan, I feel like they could have like rigged that room with detonators or something.
or,
Like they,
gas or something.
I thought they for sure they were going to try to do something to kill all of them. They really slipped up there.
Maybe they were. Maybe he wasn't ready. But so then they all start to escape. Bo cuts a hole in the door with the darksaber, and Paz stays behind. And we get a really nice scene of Paz. Like, I think the first time we really see him, really the impression we get is that he's very selfish, very self-serving and ambitious. But as we've seen through this season, he's not. And we finally see him. He sacrifices himself, and he takes out a bunch of the stormtroopers. And it's only until those Red Guards show up that they finally take him down. And it still takes 3 to kill him.
Yes, yeah, those guards, which have obviously is like the coolest action scene of Last Jedi, to have them come back. Except for their blades are purple now. Yeah.
Not new toy. And so you made the joke about Mommy Mothma. I wrote down not Daddy Favreau.
Yeah, so Jon Favreau is the voice of Paz Vizsla.
So here's my hot take. You mentioned how it feels like they reused almost some sets from Kenobi, which I don't know if they did. Paz's death, to me, is what Tala's was supposed to be in Kenobi.
Who exactly
Tala
was that? Was she like the
she's
spy?
The woman in the village, the spy who was also the Imperial. She was the one that shut the door and like threw a grenade in the room to kill a bunch of stormtroopers.
I don't even remember any of that.
I know, but to help the others escape. And and maybe that is just something because we've seen Paz for just a little bit longer. But I don't know. I just feel like that impact was supposed to be the same as what happened in Kenobi, and it just didn't land. I mean, for me personally, she died, and we were like, oh no. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, and I think it was very unexpected that we felt something for Paz. I think this is a really surprisingly effective use of a silent, like a big and dark and quiet. What do the people say? Like tall, dark, silent type.
Yeah.
Like he's a big guy. He was very unlikable, and he was oftentimes very aggressive to Din. He wanted to nearly try to kill him for the darksaber. But then he really had a turnaround this season after Bo-Katan helped save his son.
Speaking of his son, now he doesn't have a dad anymore. He's
Ragnar!
What a sick name.
Ragnar, more like dad.
Ultimately, I guess I'll say 0 out of 10 episode, no Fen Rao. Mandalore. I'm kidding.
So here's an interesting comment.
Did you even hear what I said?
No, sorry, I missed it. I was reading. I'm sorry.
So anyways, to recap, 0 out of 10 episode, no Fen Rao.
You'll get your Fen Rao eventually, probably. I don't know.
But will I?
This comment, so the episode is called The Spy, or The Spies. Which was it? Is it plural or singular? The Spies. This comment says, my paranoia is in full effect. Were the spies the hobo Mandos? Is the spy Axe Woves? Is the spy the armor? Is the spy Grief? Is the spy Grogu? Because I think... So a detail we kind of overlooked that wasn't really important, but could be relevant to this is the armorer takes a bunch of the hobo Mandos and takes them back to the ship.
For medical care.
So... while I find it incredibly unlikely that the armor would have turned on them, the fact that she very it's very convenient that she left right before they got ambushed.
Yes, but they did release a bunch of TIE fighters and TIE bombers go take out the fleet.
Yes, but we have not seen the effect of that yet.
True.
So the fact that the episode is called The Spies, but there's no clear reference to any spies.
Unless it's talking about Elia Kane.
Who was who again?
The Imperial. She used to work for Moff Gideon. She's at the very beginning. She was the one that reported to him.
Yeah, but she's barely in it. And
she's still,
I don't know. It would be a weird thing to title.
She's been sabotaging some stuff.
It'd be a weird thing to title the episode if that's what it's referencing.
We do get to see that the pirates that attacked Navarro were working under the thumb of the Imperial remnant.
Sorry, I was reading again. Say that again. I'm collecting information.
We do hear from the Shadow Council that the pirates that attacked Navarro I believe were working under the Imperial Remnant.
That's true.
Because they're like, who took them out? And they're like, Mandalorians. And they're like, huh?
So this is interesting. So this would be a very evil turn, but it does kind of make sense for the character. The whole issue with the Mandalorians is their like dogmatic view of their beliefs. They are like so stuck on what they believe. One of those is like their hatred for other factions. If the armorer we traditionally know really hates everyone else, in a show, if they're trying to pull the rug out from beneath us, she could have set this whole thing up
She's
to
playing
wipe
4D
out.
chess.
But also, she could be wiping out a bunch of her own people too. So
Yeah, I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
necessarily make any sense either. So, anyways,
when will Fen Rao show up? I have been waiting since his appearance in Rebels, but it's okay. Maybe he'll show up in Ahsoka. That'd be pretty cool.
absolutely.
If he shows up to die, I will be real mad.
Or just shows up dead.
No!
And so it ends with Paz's death. Was there anything after that?
No, that was it.
Paz dies, and that's literally it.
Wait, is there like an end credits thing that
No,
we missed?
this is just the...
Okay. Can you imagine if there was a scene at the end we missed?
yeah, that's just concept art. So yeah, so that...
Just concept art?
you know exactly what I mean. So fun episode, lots of action, lots of drama, lots of tension, an actual meaningful character death.
Oh, Paz.
Potentially hints towards someone being a traitor.
Traitor.
Written by Dave Filoni and no crazy cameos. That's really interesting.
Huh. I didn't realize he wrote it. Huh. Well, I guess it's...
Any final notes before we go to memes?
I think that's it. I guess we got memes.
All right, we're only an hour 26 minutes in. This is gonna be our longest episode ever.
Hey, it's worth it.
Welcome to
If
Meme
we'd had
Minute.
an emergency session of the podcast
Yeah.
for Star Wars Celebration.
That's true. Welcome to Meme Minute, but it's longer than a minute. Welcome to Meme Parsec. Welcome to Meme
That added an
Astroseconds.
entire 10 seconds to our runtime.
I had a joke that came up the other day listening to what Meme Astro segment.
Oh, that's good. Meme Astromech.
Okay.
Oh, before we move on to memes, I wanted to say this real quick. I know last week we talked about how Cameron was going to so graciously let us watch an episode of Transformers G1. And then we removed that segment for tonight to next week because Star Wars Celebration released so much.
We might want to push it back 2 weeks because in 2 weeks we won't have anything to talk about.
Oh, you're right.
So we should do Transformers.
We're
Full
just gonna
Transformers
do
episode.
Full-time Transformers?
But it deserves it. Transformers will finally have its time.
There's a
in the light.
two-part episode that I would like to watch that I think would be very good for us. Anyways, Meme Minute.
I want to start this off. This meme is not relevant to Star Wars or Transformers, but it is relevant to this podcast. And let me play this audio for you. So this is a video of a cat, and it says, "When you humans don't stop ranting about their day until you literally only know your name and what time dinner is." So this has been stuck in my head all week, and I sent that to Rachel with the caption, "Athena, whenever we talk to her during our podcast." And you specifically mentioned the time that we said happy birthday to her on the pod. Though I don't think we were not here. We were not at your apartment that week. We were at my apartment.
I think we were. Because I saw her and I was like, oh, anyways.
Okay.
Happy birthday to our supervisor.
So happy to our birthday. Not relevant. Sorry, I got my wires crossed there. I just thought that was funny. Just like our non-human podcast host that we talked to like she's human. I'm talking about it right now. She's not even caring. She's just asleep over there.
She's been in that same spot for the past hour and 30.
Keep your supervising jobs going, Athena. You're doing a great
keeping
job.
us on our toes. So this isn't a meme, I guess, but...
You say that. One of us says that as the first meme every week. It's hilarious.
I don't know where to put it. I didn't organize my notes.
No, it's great. I just had to point it out because it's so funny. That's the best meme of the night. Is you saying that.
Anyways, so someone pointed this out that from Mandalorian Season 1, Chapter 3, there's a hologram in the back of one of the bounty hunters, like holograms where they can flip through like Tinder and find
Yes.
bounties, and it says a nobleman, and it's a Mon Calamari,
Yes.
a nobleman's son, apparently is who what that says, and then in this last episode, chapter 22, we kind of see the king's son running around with his girlfriend. I don't know if there's actually a connection, but it's kind of interesting.
No, I saw that as well. That's almost certain. That's very likely a connection, and I thought that was a cool detail.
It's all
for
coming
sure.
together.
It's all coming together. Okay, let's see what. Oh, so this one, another classic thing we say in the meme segment. This one's purely visual, but I want to get Rachel's
Live reaction.
It says Omega now. There's Omega. Omega in 10 years. It's a Photoshop job of Jango Fett just with Omega's hair and like headpiece. That was good.
Gosh. This one's also halfway visual. In the galactic criminal justice system, droid-based offenses are considered specially concerning. In the planet Plaisir 15, the dedicated Mandalorians who investigate these particular felonies are members of an elite squad known as Special Mandalorian Unit. And then it's the picture
Oh my gosh.
from Law & Order SVU with Mando
So
and
dumb.
Bo-Katan. It's funny!
So dumb.
Anyways, it's good.
This is actually a purely written meme, actually. Someone said, wow, there are leaked pages from Dave Filoni's movie, and they're everything. Interior, Hangar Bay, daytime, Ahsoka. We need to take the fight to Thrawn. Bo-Katan steps out of the shadows. Bo-Katan, you'll have my Darksaber. The Mandalorian steps out of the shadows. And my jetpack. The camera slowly pans 360 degrees in a single continuous shot. Boba Fett, and my flamethrower. Captain Rex, and my blaster. Sabine Wren, and my spray paint can. Zeb Aurelius, and my paws. Baby Yoda, he can talk now. And my Marble Reds. Ezra Bridger, and my can-do attitude. Cal Kestis, I'm Cal Kestis. Hanzo Anoka, and my knowledge of business. Zero the Hutt, and my delicious Cajun Jumbo. And you can...
Oh, gosh.
I don't know who Me Beer Gascon is, but you can read half that at the
I have
bottom.
no idea who that is. And...
I didn't mean to imply for you to read it out loud. I'm going to leave that one unread. I thought that was hilarious.
So this is from SpongeBob, and it says, remember when the old narrator got tired of waiting, so they hired Tech.
What?
Months later, I'm sure
I know this.
to a breakthrough.
D. Bradley.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
D. Bradley pulling out. You know, you can't blame a man who has to voice 5 distinct characters on Bad Batch to pull out all his very distinct voices. What a guy. I love D. Bradley. Well, speaking of SpongeBob. Sorry, go ahead.
D for Tech, can you do that SpongeBob narrator voice? We think it worked really well. It's probably like, all right.
Love that. Speaking of SpongeBob, I also have a SpongeBob joke that
Oh my
just
gosh.
absolutely cracked me up. SpongeBob makes a lot of appearances on this pod during meme segment.
What do you think? They're gonna fire me after all these years?
Is this the part where we start kicking?
No, SpongeBob, that's a chorus line.
Kicking? Oh, I want to do some kicking!
Why, you? What? Is this the part where
So that was all Legos, and it was the Mando kicking over the super battle droid from last week. Kicking. I want to do some kicking.
You'll probably have to censor me for this one.
Okay.
But Bo-Katan.
I'm gonna write down the time code.
Okay. Bo-Katan removing her helmet because I told her so. I sleep. It's a picture of the armor. Din Djarin showing his face to say goodbye forever to his adopted kid. Real.
Those are
I'm
great
reading the
format.
meme.
Great meme format. I actually spent like 45 minutes today finding a bunch of new sound effects for sensors, so I'm all ready to go. I'm glad you used it. Here's my last meme for the week.
Wish I had more sets. I wish I had enough money for the big one.
We're talking about Legos, Star Wars
I wish
Legos.
I had a proper set to build.
I wish I had at least one real toy. I wish I had something to eat. But in life, it's important to be grateful for what we already have. And it's pretty easy when you are surrounded by a sick collection of toys.
So in the last shot there, he has like every Lego Star Wars. What a great turnaround there at the end.
So I found this today. I don't know if you're familiar with the TikTok trend of people putting those "Am I the a-hole" threads to Subway Surfer videos.
No, I'm not familiar with this.
So to describe the trend, what they do is they'll have an AI voice read Reddit threads.
Okay.
And they will put something like a Minecraft parkour level or Subway Surfer so people can watch it and listen.
Uh-huh.
This is such a good payoff. For those of you that watch TikTok, understand it and get the funny.
For not wanting to help my brother after his political views backfired. I, Hunter 8 meters, and my 3 brothers Tech 8 meters, Echo 10 meters, Wrecker 8 meters,
oh
and
my
sister Omega
gosh.
12F decided to flee our home after a dictator rose to power. My 4th brother Crosshair
So
8
it's
meters,
from the point
however,
of view
decided to
of
stay and work for the new
Crosshair.
government.
No,
After my
Hunter.
brother
Hunter.
started working for the government, he began trying to kill us and kept calling us traitors. After he got over that phase, I realized I couldn't trust him anymore, so we made peace and went no contact. About a year later, Tech found a message that Crosshair left warning us about something. We also found out that the government started using him as a test subject for experiments. After learning this new information, I assumed it was another one of his traps. My brother Tech then suggested we try and save him, and my brothers and sister all sided with him. I love my family and just don't want to risk their lives anymore. Am I the asshole? Update. I agree.
Oh, there's an update! I didn't know
Bizarre
that!
joke.
To save my brother, and on the attempt to rescue him, my brother Tech died and my sister Omega was badly injured. We took Omega to my former employer, who has a mutual friend that helped my sister get better. As my sister was being looked after, my former employer called the cops on us and got her detained. Any suggestions on how to get her back?
Well, it's been a weird episode. That's a good way to cap it off. Do you have more memes?
I do.
Oh, keep going. Let's go.
The Glad Batch can't hurt you. They don't exist.
The Glad
The
Batch.
Glad Batch.
It's the Bad Batch, but they're all photoshopped with really big smiles. I remember seeing that a while back.
Yes!
Tech in the Bad Batch finale.
I made this joke last week.
But it's one of the Navari falling out of the ship from Avatar.
Somehow Kino learned to swim.
Aw, lovely. There's a lot of it got killed really quickly, but there was a lot of fun. Somehow Rey has returned, but they're all very positive.
Oh,
whereas the somehow Palpatine has returned is obviously a very maligned meme because no one wanted Palpatine back. Not very suddenly like that at the end of episode 9, but Rey returning, it was all met very positively, and so that was a cool unifying moment in the fan base. I think
This is my last one.
Go
the
for
official Star Wars TikTok posted this.
Oh my god!
It is a memorial of people placing flowers and a picture of Tech.
Is that popcorn? What is that?
I don't know. It does look like is it Mental Mix? Is that what it's supposed to be? But anyways, the official TikTok. No, actually, my last one. But that's the official TikTok. The last thing I wanted to talk about. So it's a little bit Star Wars Celebration related.
Okay.
Actually, two things because they were both. So there was such a good Cal Kestis cosplayer that was at the Cameron Morgan panel, which is who plays Cal Kestis. That Cal Kestis gave him. That's not what that is. Cal Kestis gave him. Gosh, Cameron Morgan gave the cosplayer his poncho. Off his back. I'll see if I can find it. I think I actually screwed up the link. I did. I'll post it to our TikTok and I'll show you later. But so it was really cool. Is it Cameron Morgan? I hope that is correct. I hope that I had the right name. I actually might be wrong.
Top tier content.
Yeah, sorry, Cameron Monaghan. That's who it is. Leave me alone. I can only remember so many Camerons.
You are so excited for this week. Your note is just an absolute disaster.
It's an absolute disaster. And the last thing I saw was, so if you've ever seen at any con, you know how there's always like a bunch of troopers that always band together and they march throughout the whole convention?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to talk about.
So they did the same with a bunch of people dressed up as the prisoners from Narkina 5. And they ran around the convention shouting one way out. And the funny thing is that some of them brought pool floaties. The other thing is that Star Wars replied to one of the Twitters.
I know all the Twitters.
Star Wars replied to one of the tweets, the official Star Wars, and just said, "Hope they know how to swim." But either way, I think that's
very nice.
Hilarious. So yes, my notes have been a mess this week because I was so excited. So, but yes, Cameron Monaghan, it was very nice. I think I just love that he's just gotten so much love.
Well, we opened with a small piece of Transformers information. So we'll close. You sent me a photo this week from the store. You found Airheads bites with Transformers Rise of the Beast printed on it. So we're getting close. We're getting into the merch time for the next Transformers film. So it's right around the corner.
I did just find it, so we get to see this little wholesome thing.
So this is Cameron.
That's Cameron Monaghan.
He took his poncho off and threw it into the crowd. Aw, what a cute guy.
So it's this Cal Kestis cosplayer who looks insanely like Cal Kestis. Like him and Marin. So it's so cute. So
he looks like Rory Williams from Doctor Who.
Okay. But it's very cute because it's just, I don't know. I love when actors like acknowledge that. And I think Cameron Monaghan is getting a lot of the love, which he should. But the joke is that the only clothes Cal can wear are ponchos and Jedi Fallen Order. So, but it's like, that's so cool. He didn't have to do that, but he did. So
one last note. I think it was you who sent it to me. It was a video of Kyle Soller, who plays Cyril in Andor. Cyril. And I think he was talking about the cereal.
Someone handed him their phone, and there's a recipe. There's a recipe of the cereal that you can make.
But what's interesting to me about the video, what I recommend is finding a video of this actor, Kyle Soller, was just how different he is from his character.
It's the hair.
And I don't ever assume, especially with villains, I never assume that the actor is like the character. But the way he talks is so different from his performance as Cyril.
It is the degreesification that the Imperials
He's a well-groomed young man.
No, so here's the thing. We see it with one of my favorite things with him is, so when Andor first came out and he started doing interviews, he looked like he had just come out from living in the woods for 2 months because his beard and his hair was so long.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But so, we see Cyril, who's just greasy, and then, we see his actual actor, who's so very nice in person, and he's like much more, his hair is fluffy, and someone called it the degreasification of former Imperials because we see it with Agent Callus because when we first see him in Rebels, he's got the Imperial haircut, and then when he joins the Rebels, he's like actually not. It's so funny. It's very funny. Top tier.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of episode 14 of Rebels and Robots. Thank you for sticking with us, man. I always tell people when they ask me about the podcast, it's super nerdy. This is mega nerdy. This has been a lot, but it's always fun to record with you, Rachel.
It's fun to record with you.
Thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music, and as always, props to Rachel for our artwork.
Props to Cameron, who edits all of these and now gets to edit 2 hours of recording.
Well, only an hour 42 as of right now, 43. It's not that much to edit. I only have one thing to cut out and one thing to censor, so not too bad. So this is Cameron and Rachel signing off, saying the Ahsoka series is Rachel's Avengers Endgame. It is.
It's my Endgame.
And she's going to be awful, and she will not apologize for it.
If you thought I was bad, Cameron, if you thought I was bad, I feel like I say this every time a new series comes out. If you thought I was bad during Andor, honey, you got another storm coming.
Good night, everyone.